Okay, this is going to be a video doing some tips and tricks to help my buddy Anna out when she's running her healing operative. And this would obviously carry over for the Sawbones Smuggler Republic side. Now they've reduced the difficulty on all NPCs from level 50 and down, reducing their health and how much damage they do. So everything got a little bit easier as far as leveling, and they did that so that you'll have an easier and quicker experience as leveling your character up to max. I'm going to do a little bit more of an in-depth look at the discipline tree, but basically, to give you the Cliff Note version, best practices when possible, start in stealth, and when you exit stealth, it's going to give you your tactical advantage, which will give you access to some of your different healing skills. For example, Call-to Infusion, which has a quicker cast time than Call-to Injection, as well as Surgical Probe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Scorpio, and just to show you, Scorpio is using the gear that I first got her in, grade 90, which is nothing special. She's very much under-geared. So I'm going to send her after this Hypermatter Sentinel droid, and once she rushes out, it's going to break our stealth, and it's going to grant me a couple of tactical advantage stacks, which will give me access to some of the healing. And I'm going to let her take this thing on by herself. So first, pops out of stealth, I'm going to use Recuperative Nanotech, give her a bit of a heal over time, and while he's shooting at me, I'm going to put 2 healing probes on her, and then 2 on myself, just to keep me going. Now I've got the 3 stacks, so I'm going to use Surgical Probe, because it's an instant cast, and I'm going to keep doing that until I drop down to 1, although I probably would better off doing it 2. And now that I'm back to 3, I'm going to use Call-to Infusion. Still got 1 left. Oh, got another tick. Just going to use that Surgical Probe again. And now he's coming after me, so I'm just going to use a couple of these on myself. And just to fill some time a diagnostic scan, because I'm at full health. There we go. As you can see, I'm not really taking that much damage. I'm level 54. It's a level 50 enemy that's just been nerfed effectively. So, it's more to demonstrate how easy it is to heal now. At lower level, you won't have access to quite so many procs, because you might have noticed that the cooldown here, or not the cooldown, but the activation period on Coulter Probe, it's refreshed itself a couple of times. So it's like you can set it and forget it almost. You put 1 on, and then you can focus on using your other abilities. I'm going to send her into this mob, because we're on a roll. Let's see here, Recuperative Nanotech, and I'm going to put 2 healing probes on her, and then get in range, and I'm just going to use the Surgical Probe, and then Call-to Infusion. Now this guy's coming after me, so I'm going to defend myself here. I'm going to stun him, and backstab. He goes down nice and easy. Okay. Top off the healing probe, and the Surgical Probe, Call-to Infusion, another one of those, Recuperative Nanotech, and I'm going to heal myself a little bit here. I'm going to use Call-to Injection, and I'm back to 3 stacks. Surgical Probe, and she's pretty much fine, so I'm just going to use a diagnostic scan there, and she's done. And again, her gear is pretty much outdated. I think I have some comms I can spend to update them, to give her a bit more of an advantage for when I do stuff that's actually difficult. For example, if I was to go to the Zerka daily area, it's one of the places you can go when you're level 55, I believe it's recommended. And if I send her in there, she's probably not going to do so well. These guys are pretty weak. But if I go in there, she's going to be taking a lot more damage. So, and I think I'm going to be taking a lot more damage as well. I'm not really all that well geared. But you can see just using those basic heals, my energy is staying fairly stable. And I don't think she really dropped anywhere near 75%. Because ideally, if my energy gets to this point right here, this halfway mark, that's when I switch to using Diagnostic Scan. And that's just to keep my energy high. because what'll happen is the lower your energy gets, these little bars here will get lower and lower, and the less of them you have, the slower your energy recuperates. And you don't want to be out of energy when you've got some nasty enemies on top of you. That's a bad situation. Although you do have one ability to restore some energy, you can only use it once. I think the cooldown's like a minute and a half. So it's something that you want to avoid using if at all possible. And it looks like she's not really having too much trouble with this guy. And basically what my rule of thumb is for how I manage energy, in addition to how I manage healing, is I use Cult to Infusion whenever it's off of cooldown. And when I get down to 1 stack of tactical advantage, that's when I use your base healing skill, Cult to Injection. But in between that, it's Surgical Probe and Cult to Infusion. And that pretty much keeps her health right where I need it to be. Now, because I'm under geared, I can't really do that at a current place. Like if I went to the Zerka daily area, this would be a lot trickier. Which I might do that anyway, just to test out a bit more of a challenging healing rotation, just because these guys aren't doing that much damage, so like they're not really a threat. I think this guy might hit a little bit harder, so I'm going to send Scorpio after him. And let's see how we do here. Okay, 2 stacks, use a second surgical. Actually, yeah, she's taking some decent damage, so this might work. Injection, Cult to Infusion, Recuperative Nanotech. Use a stealth scan, a diagnostic scan, rather, just to keep her up and keep my energy management in a good place. Get the 2 probes on her. And yeah, actually it looks like she's not really in any danger. Not that I'm really going on it. But again, this is a weak area. This is more of a demonstration as opposed to showcasing my amazing skills as a healer. This isn't a class I play very often. So I don't have a ton of experience in this area. But this is just to show some tips and tricks. Just to show you some basic energy management, because as you get higher level, it becomes easier and easier to manage your energy. There were a couple of times where she dropped down to 75-50%. I wasn't looking exactly. You can help out with a poison dart there. But yeah, as you can see, keeping up with your energy won't be very tricky. And even with base gear, Scorpio is able to handle pretty much everything in this place. Although if I went to the heroic 4 with her, that'd be another story. So yeah, that was just a quick look at some of the healing skills in a rotation format, and I was only half paying attention to in those last couple of pulls, and it still worked out decent. So you should be able to, once you get used to it, you should be able to do it without a ton of stress. Now your main activated abilities, let's see here, you get Surgical Probe at level 41. So if you're not at 41 yet, you're still missing a few. And granted, I'm missing a few myself. I think 57 you get your last executable ability. So let's see here. 26, that's probably as good a place as any. Recuperative Nanotech is the heal over time. Some people refer to it as a HOT for short. I like to open with it because it gives you that healing over a period of 9 seconds for 2,382 hit points. And it's up to 3 allies, so it's a bit of an AoE effect. So if you're in close proximity, if you can get right next to your companion and hit it, so much the better. And let's see here. The other executable ability is Cult to Injection, which is handy. And Cult to Injection is a skill that will, on its own, I'm pulling right now, and you'll see it tick off over here. That gives you your tactical advantage, so I try to save that one towards the end. And I'll use Cult to Infusion, which you can see here, gives you a bit of a periodic heal as well, and re-granted my tactical advantage. And if you combine that with having your Colto probes and having your recuperative nanotech on, oh, now this guy's gonna pay us a visit while While I'm trying to talk, I didn't get into a safe area. So, I'll get those 2 probes on Scorpio. Get this out of the way. And so I've got the 3 stacks of tactical advantage. So, surgical probe, now I'm down to 2. So I'll use Colto Infusion, which puts me down to 1. And then I go back here to Recuperative Nanotech, surgical probe, Colto Infusion, and she's done. So yeah, it's basically you want to keep your energy level above this line right here, if at all possible. If it dips below that, your regeneration of energy starts to slow, and it can be tricky. Because from then on, it's I think it was the term diminishing returns. It just gets harder and harder to keep your energy up, and especially if you're in a fight where you're taking a lot of damage, it's gonna get really tricky. So yeah. So just looking over the tree real quick, Colto Injection. That's the one that builds your stacks. Very handy. This next ability here, or not ability, but passive, I should say, reduces the activation time, and it allows Colto Injection to grant tactical advantage, which is right there, executed, and bam. Very handy. Surgical Steadiness, as you take damage, reduces pushback. So if you're in a flashpoint, you're taking damage, and you're trying to execute a heal, you'll notice that your casting bar, it starts to get bumped back as opposed to just filling up and executing. That's good. Prognosis Critical, I don't think I talked too much about this. This is the ability that if, say, I was in a flashpoint and my energy did hit this level, that would be the first skill I'd go to once I realize that my energy is getting low. Because with this passive, it'll crit more often, and further down the tree, where is it? Can't find where it is. Here we go. Once you get up to here at level 36, your diagnostic scan will go faster, 30% faster, and if it crits, which is more likely to, it'll restore some energy, which is super handy. It's super handy when you get low, because if your energy drops off and people need healing, that's the skill where you can still put a bit of a heal on them and start to get your energy back up to a more manageable level. Let's see here, where was I? Diagnostic scan. So exiting stealth grants 2 stacks of tactical advantage. So when possible, you want to start in stealth, pop out, and that would give you the ability to use surgical probe immediately. And money. That's always helpful. Yeah. Again, recuperative nanotech, that's the heal over time mentioned before. Medical engineering. So when Colto waves, which I don't think I have yet, I think that's down here. Colto probe, Colto infusion, and recuperative nanotech have a 30% chance to grant tactical advantage. So that's why you'll see almost randomly. Well, I guess it's not really randomly math-wise, but I can't predict it for sure. You'll see the stacks regularly popping back between 2 and 3, and which is one of the reasons why I like to use surgical probe almost immediately, just to pop it down to 2, and if it pops back to 3 immediately, no big deal. Gives you plenty of time to use your Colto Infusion. Although I guess it'd be more efficient to use Colto Infusion first, and then start to use your surgical probe. But if you're playing within your level, in PvE, it shouldn't be that big of an issue, unless you're doing like an operation. And I don't think you're at that stage quite yet, although you will be eventually. Toxic Scan is your cleanse ability, and now once you get to level 32, it'll give them a little bit of a heal, which is handy for certain flashpoints if your tank gets poisoned or it gets a damage over time effect, or a dot for short. We talked about that already, the diagnostic scan. Medical therapy, increase the healing dealt by periodic effects by 3%, so that's your heal over time, so like recuperative nanotech, or where's my Colto probe? That's adrenaline probe. Oh, here we are. Colto probe, which says 1963 over 18 seconds. So all that stuff will be a bit more effective, which is handy. And they cost a bit less, which is also good for your energy management. So before that, it might not be as easy as you could see me just throwing out heals, no big deal. before you get to level 40, it's going to be a bit trickier to manage your energy. But by 36, it'll be a lot easier being able to just roll back onto your diagnostic scan to help your energy management. And yeah, that's a surgical probe, which is the ability I was using often. That's this little guy here. 44 level gets you surgical precision, and the healing dealt by surgical probe is increased by 5%. Increases the max attack limit of tactical advantage by 1. I think the default is 3? I wasn't paying attention. Let's find out. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it does stop at 3, so I think the default is 2 then for the DPS classes. Yeah, so it is handy having that extra stack. And now surgical probe regrants tactical advantage once every 10 seconds. So once every 10 seconds, use surgical probe. And, oh, I selected somebody else. There. Once every 10 seconds, it'll just regrant it. So use it once, it regrants it. Hit your Culto Infusion. And that's a decent set of heals to start off with. And since it reset, use another probe. Resets. I guess I just used the regular Culto Injection. Now I'm back to 3 stacks. So, good stuff all around. And yeah, because I don't think you're quite level 40 yet, so a bunch of this stuff won't matter as much. But yeah, I mean, pop it open, take a look at it. And the fun stuff also over here, this is where you can fine-tune yourself. This is just what I picked for this guy for healing. Damage reduction increased by 5%, not a ton, but a little bit of extra survivability never hurts. Because, you know, the tank can't control everybody all the time, so you might have some people on you, and that damage reduction, it can come in handy. This one, it's just nice to have. I'm just used to having it on my characters that have stealth. Increases movement speed and makes it a bit harder to detect you. This one I would definitely recommend. Reduces the cooldown of Debilitate, that's your stun. And that's just handy, especially if you need to get out of there. If something nasty's chasing you and the tank hasn't been able to refocus yet, you can just hit this and give yourself some distance. Med Shield, which I haven't actually been using yet. Let's pop that on. When it ends, the duration of the ability ends, gives you a bit of a heal. Which, again, every little bit of survivability, especially in a flashpoint. If you're taking a ton of damage, you're probably going to want to pop that immediately. Adrenaline Probe for if you do have to go through a heavy phase of doing a lot of extensive healing and your energy gets low. Getting that 50 additional energy immediately will help because as you get lower, say you're down to like one of these bars down here, that'll help knock you forward a little bit. If you combine that with using a diagnostic scan, you'd be in decent shape energy-wise, and you can get right back in doing some heavy healing abilities. And yeah, and then the Heroic, which, let's see here, I think that's level 51, so it'll be a little ways for you to get to this one. Increase the amount of damage absorbed by your shield probe by 30%. So when I hit that shield probe, if I'm in trouble and I hit this, it will absorb more damage, and then when it does end, I get a bit of a heal. So yeah, hopefully these tips and tricks were somewhat helpful for you. And yeah, that's